This is Keep On Cooking, a podcast for people who love cookbooks and want to know more about the authors. It's also a great place to get a weekly dose of culinary inspiration to keep things pumping in the kitchen. So grab a cookbook and keep on cooking. I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and they say life is a highway. But to me it feels more like a cul-de-sac with just going nowhere with nosy neighbors. But I do have one heck of a husband. Here he is, Mr. Rossetti. How you doing, Roro?
I'm good. Life is a highway.
Hey, remember when I used to do a parody to that to open my
I
cooking
do.
demos at Vedge Fest?
I do remember.
What were the lyrics? Life is a highway. Through all these places and all these towns. I'm here to something, the plant-powered something.
Round.
Yeah, from Tennessee.
We
go.
We did it up.
I need to look it up.
We need to look it up.
All these places, all these towns.
That's a deep dive.
The plant's the star growing from the ground. Here to spread the plant-powered joy by sharing bites and taking Polaroids. Fort Lauderdale to those Memphis nights.
God.
Denver skies to Vancouver's lights. St. Louis arch to something. Anyways, you can probably find it on YouTube somewhere. Me doing a little parody to Life is a Highway. I want to get the crowd going.
You did.
You helped me write those lyrics. You give me David always helps me with all the lyrics and stuff like
all
that.
the lyrical things.
Well, listen, what are we up to?
Yes, you need to tell about what just
So
happened.
Everyone, if you haven't watched the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix, I highly recommend. Me and my dear sweet friend Natalie Slater of Bacon Destroy, she's been on the podcast several times.
Friend of the podcast.
We were certainly living our Martha Stewart fantasy. Like, we both watched it. We're like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's amazing. What a woman.
What a woman.
And then we were both posting on Instagram and people have been watching it. Natalie's like, we tell people to watch it. They're watching it and then they're inspired. I was like, well, we need to have a Martha Stewart watch night. So we did with our friend Jessica last night, where we made Martha Stewart recipes. I made a perfect vegan chocolate cake from Martha Stewart. I don't know if it's marthastewart.com, marthastewartliving.com.
Sure.
I don't even know.
Who knows?
So I made a Martha Stewart cake. I also made Martha Stewart loaded potato bites, veganized, obviously. And Natalie made an array of mocktails from a Martha Stewart.
With some great titles.
Great titles. She retitled them all to like Billionaire and Male Tears and I don't know, all themed from the documentary. So it was quite lovely.
Amazing.
So if you haven't watched the Martha Stewart documentary, highly recommend. To me, it's very inspiring. I love hearing her story.
Well, and we were going down the YouTube rabbit hole of just clips of her like back in the day. She loved to wear a New York Yankees hat.
Well, and
like and not even like on her head, like on top of her head.
And a pleated khaki.
We loved a pleated khaki.
She sure did.
Just in the garden with a pleated khaki.
Also a made-for-TV movie, I think it was made late 90s with Sybil Shepherd, called Martha Inc. About, Martha's sort of, it takes it up to the time when Martha went to jail and all that. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the inside, but I think it's a bit of they paint her as a very, very mean woman in that particular made-for-TV movie. But I think part of that is just like the Sybil Shepherd approach, who's a little icy. What was I going to say? I did have a run-in with Martha Stewart one time in my life.
I didn't know that.
I've also found out that Natalie and I have a connection to Martha Stewart in a 6 Degrees sort of way with our coach, Belinda. Anyways, when I did The View, so when you and I first met on Annie, and I was doing The View with our sweet little Sunny dog who played Sandy, I met a lot of celebrities that day. Margaret Cho took a picture with me and the dogs. Christina Ricci took a picture with me and the dogs. And then I saw Martha Stewart arrive. And I did not approach her for a photo. I was like, I'm not approaching this woman right now. Like, she got out of the car. She walked past me, very serious. And that was my run-in with Martha Stewart.
Oh, my God.
Anyways, I do have that memory, though, where I was like, that's Martha Stewart. Okay. So, y'all, it's Thanksgiving week. So I thought we'd tell you, I always get the question, well, like, what are you eating? What do you suggest? What do you recommend? Here's my thing I'll tell you. If you're new to veganism, you like Thanksgiving food, and you want to make some swaps, Google your favorite thing. There is a vegan version out there now, okay?
Yep.
Some people get very invested in making their own roast. Now, I will tell you, David, what are we here for?
What? Like,
what's our the centerpiece that takes place of what people would usually have for the tofurkey? What are we here for every year?
Like a tofurkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, tofurkey. Yeah.
Like
that's what I mean.
David,
Yeah.
like David, I put
I was
him on
like,
the spot.
sorry.
He's like, what are you talking about? Every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every holiday. We love the tofurkey.
It hits the notes.
We've
hits
tried
the notes
all
that we
of
need.
the other roasts on the market,
and
over
they're
the
good.
Years. They're fine, but
they're fine.
We love tofurkey.
Well, now I heard the Trader Joe's is coming back.
I don't care.
I mean,
I do like the Trader Joe's.
The Trader Joe's is good before you like poo-poo it.
I'm not poo-pooing it. It's just like I want the opportunity to eat the tofurkey every year. I love it so much.
I did used to love who had the ham.
Well, that's tofurkey. They have a ham.
Was it tofurkey's ham?
It was delicious.
Huh.
Yep. The thing about the tofurkey roast for me, because they put like the stuffing in the middle. It's fine, but fine. Like it's like a spoonful. I'm like,
I mean, it's like literally.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna make our own dressing on the side, and we're gonna have that. Because
this
we
is
want.
Cute.
Yeah, this is cute. This is like, what is this spoonful of rice you're giving
Quite
me?
literally.
Because what I'm saying to tofurkey is cut out the stuffing bit in the middle and just make me the tofurkey, nothing in the middle, so we can cut slices of it without, because now you cut it, you've got that ring with the hole in the middle of it that's got a little bit of like
apart,
quote unquote stuffing.
But I will say, remember, was it my nephews?
They loved it.
Yeah,
Landau
we went
that every
5 or 6 years
well,
ago.
And it is a small roast, so if you're feeding multiple people, and they all were like, "Ooh, can we try it?" And I was like,
those omnivores always coming in.
Oh my gosh, swooping in, want to try everything we have. At my mom's, she fixes like a whole meal for everyone, and then I'm left to fend for me and David, so I fix like whole meals, and like everyone can try. But I'm also kind of like, you also have all your food over. Like, listen, in a dream world, I'd be like, Mom, let me take over, but she will not let me veganize the holiday table. Anyways, it's just David and I for Thanksgiving, which I'm very excited about. We're gonna have the tofurkey. We're gonna have mashed potatoes and gravy. I do have a mushroom gravy recipe. I think right now there's it's up on universalmeals.org. There's a mushroom gravy there. We're not gonna make that actually. Tofurkey comes with a gravy, but I'm gonna do like a brown gravy. I'm just gonna do it from. I'm just gonna manifest it,
and marinate it
day of. Marinate the gravy.
I mean, like, just marinate on the idea.
Yes. I was like, what? Okay, so we're doing tofurkey, mashed potatoes, gravy. We're gonna do a miso cream corn for David because he loves corn. So instead of a green bean casserole, we're gonna do corn. I think I'm gonna get the fried onions and put it on top of it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I thought you'd like that. Yep. And then dressing. So standard veggies, bread,
stuffing, or dressing. What do you use?
It's dressing if you're not stuffing something.
Oh,
I mean, that's what I just had this conversation on an interview.
That's interesting.
Well, but that seems to make sense,
no,
right?
it makes total sense, but I think still people say like, oh,
I know.
I'm gonna go get stuffing.
I've tried to like correct myself when I say that, because you're right. People do just say that.
Because dressing also sounds weird. Dressing is like, you think
like
salad dressing for salad.
Yeah, I agree with all the above. But that's our plate, right?
That's it.
I don't really have a settled
and some kind of roll. I'm
gonna make rolls from the vegan. Do I have the book by me? I don't have it. We just had them on Shane Martin. Vegan bread making, homemade vegan bread making. It's along those lines. Y'all know which one I'm talking about, because y'all came for that episode. I got so many DMs of people telling me they bought that book. But also David and I, every holiday season, we make the rosemary smoked chili rolls from Gaz Oakley's Vegan Christmas. You can hear more about that book next week. I'm going to go through that book, which will wrap up our deep dive into holiday books. But anyways, that's what's on our Thanksgiving plate. Not following a lot of recipes, trying some new rolls. From
and let us know what's on yours wherever you could comment.
What do you want for dessert? I mean, I know pumpkin pie is the thing, but I just don't want to make us one big pumpkin pie. I was gonna do like 2 pumpkin pie souffles, like in souffle cups, so that we have
there's something we can do, like it's like a little
so that we don't have a whole pie, because we'll eat the whole pie and we don't need to eat the whole pie.
Let's do a little research.
I did a little already.
Okay,
I'm asking you if you're down with the pumpkin pie foods. There we go. David, my whole life is Google.
Well, we're getting to holiday baking season, so I'm gonna be feeling my oats.
That's good.
December.
I'm happy for you. I hope you do all the baking this year.
I will.
Well, of course, we're here today to chat about the Vedge Bar Book, plant-based
Ooh.
cocktails and light bites for inspired entertaining from our friends Rich Landau and Kate Jacoby of Vedge in Philadelphia. So this book just came out last week, so we're so thrilled to have them on right around the pub date. And listen, we love Vedge.
Love them.
Yeah.
Love it.
Been there several times in Philadelphia. Love Philadelphia.
And if you go to Philadelphia, it's I feel like always the one that you like,
yeah, it's
or
a
on the
must.
list
It's a
that
great
like you gotta go.
elevated night out, but like it's a night out. Like
It's a night out.
put a nice shirt on,
Yeah.
go grab a cocktail at the bar, then get your
But like
reservation.
casual, like it's like approachable.
Yeah.
elevated,
They're
you
not
know?
pretentious at all. It's just elevated plant-based cuisine, and it's delicious.
It's so
and
good.
always get the rutabaga fondue, which I'm so happy to report is in this book. We talk
Always.
about it a bunch, so I won't
Always
go on
get
and
it.
on about it.
Always get it.
But yeah,
Should be like chips and salsa. They should just bring it.
yes. Yeah.
And
Oh
just
my gosh, I
charge it.
wish.
Right.
So we love Vedge. There's also an episode on Vedge for the vegan roadie, I think in season 1.
Yeah.
So check out the Philadelphia episode of the vegan roadie.
Season 1. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it's season 2.
It might be season 2.
No, I think it's
All blurs together.
season 1. It's season 1, I think. Anyways, if you
Okay.
look up Philadelphia, there's 2 episodes ultimately.
Yeah.
Because we did the first episode, and then we came back a couple years later. We did another episode in which we
Maybe that's
also
what I'm
talked to
remembering.
Veg and Kate, to Rich and Kate
Veggie.
on that episode, I think. So, anyways, if you look up Philadelphia Vegan Roadie, you'll find the episode with Veg in it for sure. Now, listen, I want to say, as the holidays are approaching, this book not
It's
only
gorgeous.
it not only makes a great gift for someone for the holidays, like it really does. If you have a cocktail enthusiast in your life, this is a fabulous book to give them. But also for your holiday planning, there's like a holiday section in here, and it's got some really great small bites and really great cocktails that I have your guests just be like, ooh, ah, 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 ah. Now let's share a couple upcoming books. We've got
Yes.
Island Vegan, 75 flavorful recipes from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I wanted to say Haiti. Dominican Republic and more. This is coming out December 10th this year by Lloyd Rose. These plant-powered meals celebrate the rich cuisine and culture of the Caribbean without compromising on authenticity or flavor. Nourish your body and soul with a variety of classics and creative dishes such as pulled jerk barbecue sliders, steamed cabbage, salt fish with a PPHISH, Barbie fried chicken, Haitian legume, island flair sweet plantains, pina colada ice cream, staple sauces such as green seasoning, jerk marinade, and mango chutney. Anyone following a plant-based lifestyle or just looking for creative new ways to cook veggies will fall in love with Lloyd's delicious, wholesome island cooking. So this is Island Vegan, 75 flavorful recipes from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and more, coming out December 10th this year, 2024, by Lloyd Rose.
Yep. And another one in the pipeline we have is the Happy Healthy Plant-Based Cookbook, 75 plus colorful recipes to nourish your whole body, feed your family, and have fun along the way. Available for pre-order now and coming out January 7th, 2025. Great for the new year and the new you or your resolutions. This book is by Dusty Stanzik and Aaron Stanzik. Raised in the Midwest, Aaron and Dan Stanzik ate a traditional American meat. Dusty. Oh, sorry. Aaron and Dusty. Aaron and Dusty Stanzik ate a traditional American meat and potatoes diet, yet always felt tired, uncomfortable, unhealthy. We've all been there, yeah. Then they made the switch to whole food, plant-based eating. Amazed by the tangible transformations to their bodies, minds, and spirits, the couple launched Eat, Move, Rest. In their workshops, so they were workshops, and on their platform, they have helped thousands discover how eating mindfully, moving purposefully, and resting intentionally are the keys to a happy, healthy life. And now in their debut cookbook, Aaron and Dusty help you transform your own life.
That's right. The Happy, Healthy, Plant-Based Cookbook is for families, parents of young children, Christian readers, and spiritual seekers looking for ways to align body, mind, and spirit, and anyone wanting to live a plant-forward lifestyle.
From juices and smoothies to wholesome wraps and snacks to desserts that are actually good for you, this cookbook is a must-have on the vegan cooking shelf. It's never been easier to adopt a healthier, more wholesome, and plant-based way of life.
So that's the Happy, Healthy, Plant-Based Cookbook, 75 plus colorful recipes to nourish your whole body, feed your family, and have fun along the way, coming out January 7th, 2025. Now it's time for fun facts. Here we go. Since we're covering a cocktail book this week, I thought fitting to ask ChatGPT, when did craft cocktails originate?
And here's what we've been told. Boom, boom. Craft cocktails trace their roots to the 19th century with pioneers like Jerry Thomas popularizing balanced, complex drinks in his 1862 book, Bartender's Guide. The modern craft cocktail movement emerged in the 1980s. That feels very appropriate. Led by bartenders like Dale DeGroff, who revived classic recipes using fresh, high-quality ingredients, and by the 2000s, speakeasy-style bars and innovative techniques solidified craft cocktails as a global trend.
I know that this. I'm going off book here. I just thought, do you want, because y'all on keeponcooking.com, I have a recipe that I did for y'all this season. It's a flourless pumpkin cake. Do you want that for?
Oh, sure. That was good.
But then I kind of want pumpkin pie.
I know. We should kind of do pumpkin pie.
Let's just do it. Anyways, okay. So sorry. All I need to do is get some crust, or I can make the crust from scratch, whatever we want. Yeah. But I could get a crust from the store. Okay, glad you all could be here for our Thanksgiving planning.
Thank you for meeting.
Now on to the book we're here for today, the Vedge Bar Book, plant-based cocktails and light bites for inspired entertaining. So if you want to learn more about the fabulous and ridiculously talented chef Kate Jacoby and Rich Landau, you can listen to episode 5 of Keep on Cooking, where we do a deep dive into their history and their books, Vedge and V Street. For now, what's this book about, babe?
Well, let me tell you. At Vedge, the award-winning Philadelphia restaurant that pioneered plant-based fine dining, Kate Jacoby, Rich Landau, and their acclaimed team have been elevating vegetable cooking and imbibing for well over a decade. Imbibing.
Yeah.
That was the strangest.
I was like, did I hear a D?
Well,
I hear you.
My brain switched it. Imbibing for well over a decade. They believe a good drink is an indulgent, multisensory experience worth savoring, and even better when paired with a right snack or small plate and enjoying amongst friends.
Yeah, and I always love talking to these two. They're full of so much information. They've been in the business for a long time, and they're so gracious with their time and their information. So I really hope you enjoy this interview, focusing on this book that's drawing inspiration from fresh produce and the rhythms of nature. The 75 all-vegan drinks, bar snacks, and small plates shared here are some of their most beloved creations with imaginative flavor combinations you'll find nowhere else. Here they are to tell us all about it. It's Kate Jacoby and Rich Landau. Elevating plant-based cuisine and imbibing for well over a decade. I call them the vegan mayors of Philadelphia, but you can call them the award-winning restaurateurs that pioneered plant-based fine dining. Please welcome back to the Keep on Cooking podcast, Kate Jacoby and Rich Landau. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Hey. Thanks for having us.
Yes, so glad you guys are back, and we're going to kick it off with our icebreaker question here, though I feel like this is a really hard question, so advance apologies. If a genie granted you one wish, what would you wish for?
Dustin, I wish we lived closer so we could hang out with you more often.
Aww.
Oh, I'll take it. I didn't know that was the wish. I was like, I thought he was, and then I was like, it's the wish. I take it. Thank you.
We can move to Chicago.
No, we're not moving to Chicago. No way.
I was gonna say, please do. Everyone would love it here if you came.
I wish everyone got along, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a world peace junkie. Been so ever since I was like 6. You know, it's amazing to me at this point in our evolution that we all still kind of hate each other for no good reasons, except that we might think differently or do different things or look differently or act differently. Now there's not enough love, and my wish is for more love.
I love that. 110%.
Thank you, Ringo Starr.
So honestly, I would wish to spend all my time in our garden. I would like to be a farmer.
Have you guys ever, do you think you'll ever consider like so you have a garden, you're saying already?
We moved out of Center City, Philly about 3 or so years ago. And I guess it's almost 4 years ago. Yeah. And this was, of course, during COVID, and we had a little time to prepare, and we knew we were buying a house that had some land to it. So we planned turning a whole section of our field into a farm. And every year it's just like more and more rewarding. So we've had 3 full growing cycles now, I guess.
4, actually.
4, yeah. Oh, it's all I want to do in the world. Just be there, and not even just like in the summer. I mean, it's all year long, even in the winter. There's just always something to do or reflect, and I think it's a large part of like what drives me these days. It's like just not just the dishes and the food at the restaurants and serving guests, but it's like growing the food. I mean, I feel like building soil and growing food is like all I want to do.
I feel that's like always evolving too. If you're learning how to do gardening and farming and all of that, there's always something new to sort of like hone in on and just sort of perfect. We actually, when we got this new apartment, it had such high ceilings and sunlight that we finally were like, we're getting plants. We're gonna be plant people. And fingers crossed, we got several and we haven't killed anything.
Yay, good.
We had a couple close calls and they've come back and I'm like, okay, I got this. You know, I'm not good with instruction manuals though. So I like read something and I'm like, yeah, I read the first 2 lines. I got it. So like, you know, still fingers crossed. There's just, if I have to dig deeper, I will.
That's what makes you a good cook, right?
Yeah, like you bring it back to life no matter what happens. Yes. My one wish, actually, I had 2 here in case because I wanted to match the vibe a little bit. But one was that we all just get along. So I'm with you on that. But I'll give my second one then. Nice. Sort of along the same lines, actually. I think I wish that we didn't have to deal with health concerns, that we all just were healthy and we didn't have to like, and I don't just mean from like illness and stuff like that, but I mean the way we sort of obsess over body image and stuff like that. I wish we were all just content and healthy and happy with how we were, you know, how we are. Well, that's the icebreaker. And listen, I'm thrilled to have you back on the podcast. And I'm so excited that you have released a new book, baby, into the world, this time with a focus on plant-based cocktails. We've got it right here, everybody. The Vedge Bar book, Plant-Based Cocktails and Light Bites for Inspired Entertaining. It's available now everywhere books are sold. It's been out for 1 week, plural, 1 week. And listeners, I'm going to say it right up front. You need this book for your holiday season to shake things up a bit, quite literally. But also, this will make one heck of a gift for any fine spirits enthusiast in your life. And if you want to get a bit of the backstory on Kate and Rich and their history with their fabulous award-winning restaurant Vedge in Philadelphia, go back and listen to episode 5 of the Keep on Cookin' podcast, where we get into it, including a detailed look at the original Vedge cookbook. So here we are, the Vedge Bar book. I feel like this must have been a long time coming. So what finally made the bar book a reality?
We had been talking with our publisher, The Experiment, for a while, back and forth about different ideas for another book. You know, we had re-released the Vedge cookbook and you know, they were sort of like, what do you guys want to do these days? And we had kicked around a couple different ideas, like some really different things. And ultimately we thought the thing that made the most sense would be to like piggyback off the Vedge book. And we turned to the bar program and we thought, there is so much right here under our noses. And, you know, just like we have some iconic dishes at the restaurant, like the rutabaga fondue, for example, we have some iconic drinks that we've been serving now. And we really took a hard look at it. And we thought, you know, our cocktails are a little bit different. You know, they, just like the food where we really focus on vegetables, we do the same in our bar. And we just sort of took it for granted. And we talked to 2 people from our bar team, our co-authors. That's Geneva Rafe and Brian Bowles. And we said, guys, what do you think about doing this? You know, I think what we have here is actually kind of special. And they were like all on board. They were like, this is you know, it is true. They've worked in a lot of different bars. They've done some really, really like great cocktail work. And they were like, yeah, what we do is really, you know, something that we should try to share with the rest of the world. So,
yeah, I think it's so unique and so special and funny. You should mention that rutabaga fondue because, you know, it is the first thing I turn to when I open this book. I think my first conversation with y'all maybe a decade ago, I was like, so the rutabaga fondue, you guys want to email me that recipe anytime soon? So I got the book and I'm thinking, oh, cocktails, great, this is perfect. And then I was like, and light bites, that could mean the rutabaga fondue. So I was very excited. And I know it's been, you know, a no-brainer to go in. You've got it's a fan favorite, so this fan is very grateful. Thank you.
How did it turn out?
Fantastic. Are you kidding me? Delicious. It's delicious. And I'll tell you, I've tried to recreate it a couple times and I'm always kind of like, well, maybe I got a little close, but you know, I'm at my apartment wherever in whatever city I was in and you're in Philly. So I'm like, well, I haven't had it now since the last time. But now I know it's good. It's good. It's great. It's there. This is it. I love it. So thank you.
Very cool. Awesome.
Let's get into it. The Vedge Bar Book, Plant-Based Cocktails and Light Bites for Inspired Entertaining. We talked about our co-authors already, and they've got many contributions in this book. So how long have they been with you, and how is the collaboration work for the book like this?
We've been working with them both. They both came on about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And, you know, they both were sort of like natural leaders behind the bar and respected each other and could sort of spitball with each other and take what we had already established as a foundation of Vedge cocktails and then run with that. And, you know, I love their sensibility for balancing cocktails and also just, you know, understanding the idea of working not just with, you know, your bar kit, but like going into the kitchen and not being afraid to be like, hey, what are you doing with those mushrooms? Or like, hey, can we get like a vegetable juicer? Because we really want to use like carrot juice behind the bar. So, you know, we kind of really hit it off early on, and it's been a pleasure, you know, just seeing like the voices come together. That was something that Rich was really curious about. How is it going to sound with all these voices? But you're pretty happy with it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, when, you know, Kate and I have written our 4 previous books, and even then, I mean, we, you know, work together, you know, we're in a relationship, we spend all of our spare time, all the stories came to us, you know, together. But even when we wrote it, we did recognize there was, oh, this is Kate's story. Oh, this is Rich's story. And we would send our stories to each other to edit them. So it sounded like there was one consistent voice through the book. So I was a little worried that this was going to be choppy with 4 of us all together. And yet I read through the book when we first got the copy, and I told these guys, I'm like, yeah, it just sounds like we're 4 lifelong best friends from childhood, and we're all thinking the same thing and doing the same thing. It's very, very coherent and cohesive, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. It runs through beautifully.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with that. I'm reading the headers throughout and I'm reading the different ones from all the authors. And it does sound, you have an even tone throughout it, which is really nice. And really, it's just a celebratory tone. I mean, that's really what this book is about, which is why everybody, you've got to get it for the holidays. I promise you're going to bring some stuff to the table or to the bar for that matter. I mean, let's also give some kudos to your photographer. Capturing beverages is so hard, I feel like. And it's particularly difficult, and they nailed it. It's the photos are sexy and vibrant. The lighting is perfection. These photos really make someone want to make the drink or light bite they see on the pages here. And the name again is?
Thank you so much. Yeah, Ted Neum. He's amazing. Brian actually had seen some of his work. He's definitely known in Philly, and I started looking and I was like, he loves this one coffee shop in Philly, and he would take these shots. I'm like, they're so gorgeous. Like, I just want to reach into the photo and grab that cup. And I was like, that's what I wanted to see in the book. And I know that our publisher had some ideas of other folks, but when they took a hard look at his work, they were like, oh no, we've got to work with Ted. Because we did like a marathon 1 week, and it was really, really intense. But like you said, like he just captures things, and there weren't like a ton of hands involved. I feel like a lot of times to make, you know, a cup, like make it more interesting, but he got good angles and great light, and he's just been a pleasure.
Yeah, and he effortlessly. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please tell me more.
He captured the one phrase I always use with food for all of our cooks is you have to make everything shiny and juicy. It's got to look shiny and juicy. Vegetables have to look like all those beautiful meat photographs people have seen everywhere.
Yeah, and
he captured that. Without me even saying a word, the drinks look shiny and juicy, and I'll even add the word luscious to that. Yeah. They're really beautiful shots. It's really easy to give someone compliments when it's not really like your work. You know, no one likes to really talk about their work because it can kind of come off as bragging or even worse, self-critical. But to objectively look at his work and be able to see the beauty in it, we're just so happy with it.
I also want to say that this is part of the beauty of this book is all of the glassware that we brought from home to shoot in, and I felt like much of this is from Rich's family.
Yeah, it's my grandma.
Oh wow!
Yeah. But when my dad passed, we found a whole case of this.
No kidding.
tons and tons of crystal glasses from like 100 years
cool.
ago.
Yeah.
Is that then? There's the section in here on glassware, and we see a big photo with a bunch of glassware. Is that all of that then?
They basically correspond. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. That looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love it. And these photos too. So it makes it not just a great recipe book for all the wonderful recipes, but like this could sit out and someone can look through it and just be like, I mean, come on. You can, for people who are not watching, I just showed the daffodil beverage, which is gorgeous, but
it's luscious.
It is luscious. It is. But this is one of those books you can have out. People can flip through it and get inspired just by kind of, it's almost like a nice coffee table book too, but it really is full of awesome, amazing recipes. It's not just about the photos, everybody, but they are fantastic. Now, the intro features different sections in it, including your take on spirits and giving a breakdown and all of that. But before we even get to that, you start things off with an introduction where you talk about always being in search of a cocktail that will make you feel as though you've been transported into the pages of the novel Don't Stop the Carnival. So can you elaborate for the listeners on that feeling for us?
Yeah, so there's a couple passages we've typed out and put in one of those like triple window frames we have here at our home bar. That was one of them. One of them was from a James Bond book, Dr. No, when James Bond arrives in Jamaica and orders a gin and tonic. And the third one was a Hemingway quote from, I believe it was Islands in the Stream, where Hemingway was ordering a daiquiri and spoke very poetically the way Hemingway did about the way the froth on it looks exactly like the sea, the way the boat goes over a certain stretch of water that was near his home, I believe. But the one that captured me the most was Herman Wouk's Don't Stop the Carnival. Now, he's most famous for writing, these epic war novels. The Winds of War, I think, was his most famous. But he wrote this very playful is the best word. It's almost comedic, but it really makes you want to move to the islands and open up a hotel there. But so he's going to check out this hotel he wants to buy, and he goes to the bar when he first arrives in the evening. And the scene that the author painted for this was so magical and so transporting. I picture this very soft, sweaty, silky Caribbean night. It's just, it's just really warm, and you pick up your glass, and it's like little beads of sweat, condensation on it. And Norman Paperman, the main character, goes up to the bar, and the way he ordered his martini was just so magical. And then there's this woman sitting next to him, and she says, "Well, I don't drink my martinis that way. I drink them on ice now." And they go back and forth with this whole banter. The whole scene, you have to read it. I'm not doing it justice. You have to read it to really be there. And when you do read it, you will be there. And that, to me, started this whole romanticized cocktail culture of being at a bar in the Caribbean in the 1950s on a winter night when everyone else is freezing and you're down there. And it's just so magical. But there's a certain, I kind of touched on this in my part of the intro, that there's a certain elegance and this classiness back then. You get dressed up before you went to the bar. Sometimes there's a piano player there. Sometimes your pinky's extended. That kind of thing. The banter was very, sophisticated and playful, but there's this elegance and sophistication around cocktail hour back then that I, without ever having experienced that, I yearned for it. Something I never had, I yearned for it. And that always just stayed with me. And it really helped inform at least where I was coming from in the book.
Yeah, I think you guys capture that vibe. When you speak of that time and it's so many things are like that, right? I think about theater like that. Like people used to get dressed up, tuxes to go to the theater, and now I'm in New York. I go to a Broadway show. I see someone around me walking in shorts and a t-shirt. I don't get mad at it because I'm in this time period too, but I'm just like, it strikes me as someone whose background is in theater. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing how time has shifted things, and what was very sort of special and sacred and elevated once upon a time. So I think you've brought that delicious, beautiful vibe into this book. So I think readers will pick up on that easily. And when they make the cocktails, of course. And we start with essential ingredients. Most of the time I skim over this section in a traditional cookbook because it's usually familiar territory for everyone. But I'm curious, is there anything when we're looking at this section, is there anything specific in this category that pops out as an essential based on these cocktails being plant-based?
I mean, I think between us, the aquafaba doesn't seem that different, but to a broader audience, I think it might still be like outside of the vegan universe, that might be one that jumps out like, what's that? I mean, you hear about like a sour that has an egg white in it. And, we've been using aquafaba or like garbanzo water behind our bar for years now. So to us, it's not that different. I feel like people have heard of it, but maybe not everyone. I feel like that one jump out.
But I wouldn't think like for beverages, I didn't even think of that. Mind you, I'm not a bartender, but yeah. So when you're using it in this sense, are you using it as we would use it in cooking? How is it used in beverages then?
Basically to replace an egg white. So if you shake it and you agitate it and get a great foam. So if you're making a pisco sour or whiskey sour, you can get that beautiful foam. And then if you don't need like a line of foam, but you want to add texture to your cocktail, adding a little bit of aquafaba can do the trick. Of course, that's going to be a shaken cocktail to really get it to activate. But that's been a game changer behind the bar. I feel like a lot of times, you'll see that with an egg white or something, and it's like, this is easy substitution, get the same kind of result. We use the aquafaba also in the strawberry pavlovettes. One of the snack recipes. So we put it to some baking use as well.
Yes. Yeah. Those look so good. Well, you get into specifics on essential bar tools like shakers, mixing glasses, bar spoon, muddler, microplane, and handheld juicer. You go over filtering with strainers, cheesecloth, and coffee filters. And then you offer some items for accurate measuring. What would you say is the one absolute must-have for the home bartender if they want to invest in something for accurate measuring?
Well, I think, getting a set of jiggers that you can read well, because they make several different types. And sometimes, if the lines are on the inside, you just have to get used to them, because sometimes when you have a very potent ingredient, like the difference between a 1/4 ounce and an 1/8 of an ounce is going to be a big difference. So you really got to be able to use them well. And I would also say, one thing we kept in mind with the book was batching cocktails, especially for the holidays. If you want to be able to make something in a larger batch, we were cognizant of that. And we wanted people to be able to not just, go to all this trouble to make like 2 drinks. We thought, go ahead and make a batch for a party. And so we kind of went back and forth. Not everybody wants something measured in grams. But if you're going to bulk a recipe, being able to have like a gram measuring scale is real, or any, measuring scale is really nice, so that you can have that certainty that what you're doing is going to scale up. So we use that a lot at the restaurant. But that's just like personal preference for, I guess, bartenders and cooks.
Sure.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And you guys we've talked about the glassware a little bit, but when we're looking at it in the book, what is some advice you would give listeners about selecting glassware and also why it's important?
So I've been like basically, running the beverage program for a million years now. And, I think it's important in a restaurant. Of course, you don't want to have things break, but you really do want things to feel special. You want to feel like you're out, you're being pampered. So you want to have nice glassware, and you want it to be like the right stem if you want to keep the drink elevated and not be grabbing it with your hand, which will warm it up faster. You want it to be thin. When you clink, you want it to sound good. When you raise a glass to your lips and it's a thinner glass, it just feels more elegant. So then you might sip it more slowly. So the sort of width of the cup itself, if it's a wider coupe glass, you're going to sip it a little bit more slowly. With a wine glass, you'd be able to aerate something. There are all kinds of things that you think about. So we did go through intentionally with each recipe and, kind of give a suggestion. You can deviate for sure. Another thing I like to pay attention to is just sentimentality. If it's like a certain glass or cup that's meaningful to me, or if it like, jives with the sort of theme of a dish that you're serving it with. Like, I think all those things kind of play a part.
Y'all say the smartest things. When you just said holding on to the stem so you're not holding on to the glass because it warms up the drink, I was like, well, yeah, but I never thought of that.
It also leaves fingerprints.
Yeah.
Like on a red wine glass, don't do that. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, had never thought of it. Wow, look at you, look what I'm learning already. Well, you go over techniques in here from shaking with the do's and don'ts of shaking, dry shaking, stirring, straining, and then you touch on what feels like to me one of the most important elements, the garnishing. So when you're trying to, what are you trying to achieve when you're selecting a garnish for a beverage?
I think it's a lot like what you taught me with food. It's sort of you're going to either like piggyback off the ingredients in the dish. You want to make it like a little, feather in the cap. It needs to maybe make it look better. And it should complement or contrast what's already there. So it should make sense with what's there by like accentuating something there. So, just as a rough example, if there was blood orange juice in your drink and then you garnished it with a dehydrated wheel of blood orange, that's a perfect example of just highlighting what you've got. Or it might be an example of like a contrasting color or like a pop of something salty, something that can just sort of contrast with what you've got going on. But it is definitely, especially in this day and age, when you want to impress somebody, you go to all this trouble, you want it to look amazing. So don't make it an afterthought. If it's an herb, make sure it's a nice, beautiful herb that's at its peak. Don't like use a wilted herb, all those kinds of things. You want to.
The kitchen didn't need these ones. We'll take them. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. It's it really to me is just like the wow factor when a drink comes, and you're just like, ooh. And then sometimes it's also, I love how simplistic a garnish can be. It doesn't always have to be this like big over the top thing, because then it doesn't have to overpower the drink or anything like that. So the choices matter, everybody. Well, now we get into some recipes in the Vedge Bar book, plant-based cocktails and light bites for inspired entertaining, appropriately split into seasons, which I'm in love with. We start with spring, featuring 9 beverages and 4 small bites. So I was drawn to the daffodil I already spoke of earlier because the sweetness, the creaminess with a bit of tartness from the garnish, and that photo of it is just gorgeous. But can you tell us more about this cocktail?
Yeah, so there is a cake called the daffodil cake, which is something that pastry chefs could try to prepare in the spring when there's like absolutely nothing fresh growing. So you would just kind of make it using lemons and whatever you would have around your house to make a basic cake. And the idea is that it's yellow and white and it looks like a daffodil, and it's one of the first things that comes up in the spring, and one of the first fresh things popping up. So this cocktail to me was sort of conceived with that idea in mind, because as a pastry chef, I'm constantly thinking like, there's nothing to make, where's the rhubarb? So I kind of came up with this idea to do a layered cocktail and to have it be white and yellow, just like the cake. But I wanted to add a little bit of green. So then we're using, fresh mint. And the other thing was Brian, one of our co-authors, had given me the Bartender's Manifesto. And I believe that that's the first time I read about yogurt as an ingredient. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a drink with yogurt. So, our son is on a protein kick. We had some coconut yogurt in the fridge, and I started messing around with that as a component, and it just layers so beautifully in the drink. So ultimately, I think, did I ask you to try like 5 versions of it?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And we drank more cocktails, testing for this book than in the rest of our entire lives.
Sure.
But I loved how it came out, because it's like almost like a pina colada, because it's got that creaminess and it has that tart and sweetness. But I really like the added mint, because it just kind of like wakes it up. And
yeah,
I snuck a couple other things in there, a little saffron. So I had a lot of fun with that one.
Nice. What's another favorite from this section here?
I love the sea legs cocktail. That's the one that's on the cover, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
That one really just relies on like juicing fresh like snap peas and getting the juice from that. And it's delicious, because that's like pretty much all the sweetness you really need. And then we mix that with a little mezcal, which makes it a little like savory and a little salty. It's really good.
Nice. Rich, any favorites from this section for you in terms of cocktails? I'm going to get to the food next, my friend.
I always follow Kate with the cocktails. Her favorites are my favorites. Yeah. That's what she told me.
Do you have one more to sell us on from this section then, Kate?
Another thing we paid attention to was like NA bevs. We wanted to make sure that we highlighted all the great non-alcoholic options that we have at the restaurant. And the Ginevra's recipe for the limonana is in the spring section. That's another green one because everything in the spring is green. Mm-hmm. That one is so good. I've had people show up at our other restaurants asking me, because we have ground provisions, and they'll say, hey, can we get the limonana here? I'm like, oh no, thanks. They just had it at Vedge. That one's really, really good.
Nice. Well, I am looking at the food and I'm ogling this whipped black garlic and lentil dip. So what is the difference in flavor for our listeners here between black garlic instead of the traditional garlic?
Oh, I mean, they shouldn't even both be called garlic. There's so much difference. I mean, well, black garlic is, it's fermented. It's a Korean product that's aged until it ferments and it becomes very, soft like roasted garlic, although it doesn't resemble that flavor at all either. To me, it's like, it's like half like candy onion and half like this, maybe onion kimchi funk a little bit, although it's sweet and mild. It's almost indescribable. I've yet to read someone describe it well enough that will do it justice. Like really a really good deep caramelized onion soup might be the best best way to describe black garlic. But and that's what this dip is inspired by, like a really good French onion dip. Like when you were a kid, you would mix a pack of dry onion soup with sour cream and dip your potato chips in it.
Exactly what you speak.
Yeah, right. That's like
yep.
That was dinner for us when we grew up. Yeah, it was. That was
the elevated variation here, though. Yeah,
much
healthier for you too, but much healthier as well.
I put it through my brain, and this is how it came out. But no, it's really good. We do some versions of this at Vedge, and it's really yummy. I mean, you can do it with chips or crackers or anything like that. Perfect cocktail food.
For someone wanting to source this, who isn't ordering in the food service world, any recommendations on where they could source it, the black garlic?
Oh, I feel like everyone's got it nowadays. You can get it at Whole Foods.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, you know who has it all the time? Trader Joe's. They're everywhere.
Of course they do.
Yeah, it's in a jar in I believe the spice section or like with the olives or something. But it's in a jar. It's already peeled for you. It's a pain in the ass to peel. So if you can find it peeled, I highly recommend it. Yeah, but it's magic. I mean, it's so much umami flavor. You can do so much with it. You could put it in your miso soup. You could put it in your salad dressings. You can spread it on toast with like a little vegan cream or a little vegan mayo, and it does all the heavy lifting for you.
What's another food option from this section that you love that's a favorite for you?
Asparagus, maybe?
The asparagus is in there. I believe the celery root. That's in the winter. Okay, that's right. The asparagus grenobloise, right? We actually did that sauce on a COVID lockdown podcast with you live.
Yes.
If I remember right, it was seared turnips with sauce grenobloise and baby vegetables on the side, black lentils. It was beautiful. I have a picture of it up on my computer. I love that dish so much. It was so much fun. Yeah. But anyway, that sauce, I mean, we've been doing it ever since. We do it at Ground Provisions. We just did it on a tofu dish at Vedge actually recently, but we put it on white asparagus for one of the springtime things. The sauce is just beautiful. It's one of those. So in my mind, in spring, I have a very distinct culinary identity throughout all the seasons. And spring for me has always been French countryside. I want to sit in a very fancy herb garden and just eat like veganized versions of French classics. And asparagus being the most iconic of all spring vegetables, I thought was the best base to have this grenobloise sauce. And it's most basic. It's mustard and vegan butter and capers and herbs. So right off the bat, it's just going to be a delicious sauce for like, to me, one of the most best vegetables ever. So I love that one. That's a great dish. And it's with white asparagus in the book, but you can easily use green.
Okay. Yeah, I want it right now. And it's funny you mentioned the COVID lockdown series. I'd blocked everything out. I was wait, what happened? What? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I think we managed to pull that off twice, right? I think we did 2 in there, maybe potentially.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I love it. Well, let's get into our next section. It's early summer featuring another strong lineup. On name alone, I was drawn to the Mrs. Doubtfire. So I actually have a good friend of ours originated the role of Mrs. Doubtfire in the Broadway musical, and he now lives in Philly. Do you guys ever serve this one at Vedge?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah, from time to time.
Because I need,
Okay,
well,
we'll
I
time
need
that
to
up.
make sure he pops in and tries it then, because
Yes.
he just finished the tour too. But I had a little chuckle at that. I was like, I got to tell Rob about this. Shout out to Rob McClure. Well, so tell us about, it's a variation of the Old Fashioned. So tell us about it.
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't have a copy of the book with us. When we got the
I got
first
your copy. I got the one copy.
Yes.
I got it right here.
When we got the first copy, it was right before there was supposed to be the port strike. And so our publisher delivered it by hand and said, hold on to this and guard it. So we brought it home and guarded it. And then when we heard the strike was over, we brought it back to the restaurant. We put it right on the shelf because we thought people might want to see it. And now we have a couple books at the restaurant, but we have them locked up because we were told don't release them until, So we actually haven't brought any home. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. We should have a stash by now.
That one was one that Brian and Ginevra both had been working on and serving at the restaurant. And I think that what we loved the most about it was a way to introduce people to Scotch if they weren't really like huge Scotch drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Scotch and gin are liquors that people, maybe they had a bad experience, like when they were a little younger than they should have been and experimenting and somebody's cabinet and they didn't know what they were doing. So I feel like sometimes when you have the right cocktail to introduce someone to, like, well, try this gin cocktail or try this Scotch cocktail, you can win somebody over. And so then if you make it especially playful with a fun name and make some of the other ingredients like a little bit, seasonal and approachable, then you can win people over.
Yeah, for sure. You got some others in here that caught my eye here. The Strawberry Smash, which you mentioned can also be made into a non-alcoholic one. And the If You're Gin, I'm Tonic, where the gin and tonic gets a serious makeover by one of your co-authors. So what does that look like? Are you able to speak to that one, the makeover on this gin and tonic?
That one was very dear to Ginevra because she had a special relationship with her grandmother. I think her dedication is to her in the front of the book as well. And I guess they had a little because her name's Ginevra and she'd call her Gin. And she said, well, if I'm Gin, you're tonic. But she just did like a really nice kind of like dial it back and start it over, kind of making our own tonic syrup. So it's like a really lovely, how can you say, like just quality version of the drink where, you might go to some random bar and just get gin with like tonic water. This is just like a really kind of crystallized version of the drink. And I think that even the photo, Ted captured it so nicely because it just looks so delicious.
Yeah.
You just won't be able to go back to drink the original after this.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like, who cares about that?
Well, no, it's a game changer.
It's delicious.
Absolutely.
I believe it. It's probably gonna be one of those ones where people, and I'm actually, they've probably had it at Vedge and then they're like, now I can't drink the other one. How do I make this one? Well, listeners, now you'll know you can make it. The recipe is here. What's another one in this section that sticks out for you?
You know what I think is really one of those that was like, should we put this in here? Will anyone actually make it? I hope that you do. And I hope you share pictures online because I'd love to see the results. The shark skin suit is a really fun one. And that was fun when we were making it at the restaurant because you clarify the cantaloupe juice. And I feel like going through that process, it sounds kind of intimidating, but when you actually get this like clear cantaloupe juice at the end, you're like, damn,
yeah.
Like Tom Hanks in that movie, I made fire. Like you definitely feel like you accomplished something. And the whole point of the book is to encourage you to go out and try new things. Yeah. And if you just get a couple techniques under your belt, then you can springboard off that with anything. So I feel like that's a really fun one. A lot of work in it, but it has a great result. And it's like perfect. Like when the weather's starting to get hot, just like sipping on something like that's delicious.
Yeah. And I love that you say to go for it because there is a little icon in the book throughout that you see that says worth it.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on the worth it icon for people?
Well, it's just like, it might seem a little over the top. It might seem extra, and it is, but it's what makes it a book that's going to take your cocktail game up a level. You know, you might not have to do it. You might be able to buy another version. but it's going to add like that freshness factor. Like when I said about the gin drink, it's like, if you want to just get those flavors to be really pristine and really fresh and really concentrated, like these are the extra things that will make a component of the drink or a garnish, like just make your drink that much more special.
I love it. I say it's all worth it. I mean, I love that you put it there, because we do need to tell people sometimes when they're reading, you're like, no, I'm telling you, it's actually worth it. Like, that's why we put it in here, but it's all worth it if you ask me.
Well, Dustin, you said sometimes like you'll read the first 2 lines of an instruction manual and then you'll just go on. So this is that for you. This is for you. This is to say, read to the end, do this step as well. Don't shortcut this part, because it will make a better drink.
I should say I'm with that with everything but cookbooks. That's the one place where I'm like, wait, I should probably do what they told me to do here, especially in this instance, because there's so many great syrups in this book, so many really fantastic things coming from scratch that you can tell they're making these cocktails just elevated and something different than what you're used to having from the bar down the street. Why would you get a book if it's just going to tell you how to make a regular old gin and tonic, right? Well, now we get into the food for early summer. That's where we are, right? Early summer. So are there one of these recipes from this section that always make it onto the menu at Vedge in early summer?
The aguachile, right?
Yeah.
So this one's very near and dear to my heart. Our current chef de cuisine at Vedge is Elpidio Ramirez. He opened Vedge with us in 2011. He's been with us ever since, and he took over the kitchen during the pandemic. So he's been at the helm for about 5 years now, and he's such a joy to work with. We have a very, very collaborative and very, very easy relationship with food. We barely even have to talk. It just gets done. I'll start with an idea, or he'll bring up an old dish we did that he wants to kind of reinvent and bring back. And it's very easy to get it on the plate. But one day I came in there and he just surprised me out of the blue with something called aguachile. I had never heard of this before. He's from Puebla, Mexico. And this is something he ate growing up. And it was rare that I would come in there and Elpidio would just have something for me to try. He was excited. He was like really jazzed about this. And it looked like green juice. It was a green liquid. And I took a sip and it blew my mind. I literally had tears in my eyes when I tried it. It was everything good in the world. Cucumbers, jalapeno, lots of lime juice, cilantro, onions, garlic, balanced out in this most incredible way. It tasted like a green kind of Bloody Mary, or maybe meets green gazpacho kind of, but the balance of the acids in there and the fruity vegetable flavors. I mean, right away I was like, just give me a glass of this. I'm going to drink this as a beverage.
Yeah.
But we started doing all sorts of things with it. We did hearts of palm salads with it. We did a tomato dish that summer with it. And we just couldn't stop finding enough things to do with it. And I loved it so much. And then, as we had it on our menu, it took off. It's on like every menu in the city of Philadelphia right now. So, he started a little trend, which I thought I was so proud of him for that. Everyone noticed. And there's a lot of chefs from Puebla and Philadelphia. In fact, they even call it Puebladelphia between themselves.
Oh, wow.
So I think they're all like, oh, yeah, we can do our food here. This is great. Yeah. Anyway, this talk about luscious. This stuff is insanely good. And I wanted this to be in the book as a tribute to Elle for my dear partner in crime here with the kitchen. My love for him, and Kate and I just worship the ground this guy walks on. So we wanted him to have his dish in there, and we came up with it together. A nice charred squash with avocado, and it's like too good. And you can do it with anything, by the way. We just gave you a basic platform to put it with, but highly recommend everyone tries it. Consume it fast, though. It does in about a day and a half. It's not as fresh as it once was. Yeah, sure. So drink it fast. It won't be a problem.
Like most great things, they don't last a long time. You got to get at it. Well, it's good.
Chili. Yeah, that's a great one. The corn is also great. The creamed corn that we put grilled shiitakes on. Yeah. That was Kate's idea. Kate is the mastermind of this book, by the way. I'm taking an 8th credit for this book. She just said, just do 20 food recipes. I'm like, okay. Sure. I mean, Kate really, this is Kate's book. And she said, let's do shiitakes on a stick. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And so we were doing this buttered corn sauce. We're just basically, it's a take on creamed corn where you just basically drown corn in vegan butter. And it's so good. So it's like eating like the most incredible corn on the cob. And we had some great stuff from our garden this year, from our little farm. Oh man, it was so good. And just eating fresh corn at the peak of its season with butter, like what else do you want? So this sauce kind of captures all that.
Nice.
You can do it with anything grilled, as long as it's vegan.
Yes. As long as it's vegan. That's exactly right. Well, and speaking of corn, we're getting into late summer now, and my husband loves corn so much that and he loves old fashioned. So I'm going to be making him one of these smoked corn silk old fashions featuring corn whiskey, corn syrup, and a garnish of smoked corn silk. So he's going to be thrilled about this. And I got to make him that corn dish. He does not like mushrooms. You guys can yell at him when I bring him into Vedge. I need other people to tell him he needs to get over it. But I think he'll
do it with zucchini. Great with zucchini. Yeah, well, you can get zucchini any time of the year.
The problem is I like the mushrooms, so I'm kind of sometimes I get them there. It's only been a couple times.
It's an art of compromise. We all know this.
Yeah. But I'm thinking like the pairing of the corn plus the shiitake, like then he might get into it then. So I think it's an opportunity that I'm going to seize. Well, what are a couple beverages in the late summer section in here that bring you the most joy to serve to your customers in the late summer?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, that corn dish, I love anything that when you can actually say corn syrup and like mean it and not be talking about like Caro syrup. I think that's really fun. Oh, geez, what else? I feel like I've got a couple in there. One of the things that I wanted to do, I guess, you can read the headers to know like who was kind of behind a certain cocktail. But one of the things that I really wanted to do is to rely on wines as well as like, sherries and fortified wines to weave them in. And I can't recall right now if I think it's late summer. It was the Fair Winds where I'm using sherry with tequila. And, I guess the idea is really just to sort of weave together some things that you might have. You don't need to make everything as an involved syrup from scratch. In this particular one, I used coconut water and a little lime, and it just comes together so beautifully. And, I guess the idea where we break things into seasons is like, that's how we approach building our menus at the restaurant. Not only are you following what's available to you produce wise, but you're also thinking of like, how do I feel in this moment? I think Ginevra captures that really well in the intro to her section, where she talks about all of the things that, the sun has shined upon and transformed all that energy into this delicious, ripe sweetness in all of our fruits. And that's really,
right?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. So,
I
mean, I think that's kind of what we were trying to translate, like the thought and the inspiration. People say, where you come up with this dish, or where'd you come up with the idea for this cocktail? It happens all throughout the year, and just capturing that mood, and trying to put forth something that we've either served at the restaurant or we make at home, that kind of captures that. And again, just like mixing in wines and some fortified wines, like you have things sitting in your cabinet, and sometimes it's like, I haven't used that in a while. Let me test this out. And, maybe using white port in, that it's sitting in your cabinet for a long, long time. It's a great way to just kind of like weave that in and, change things up.
Yeah. And making use of those ingredients too, that sometimes do sit there for a long time. You get something to make something. So finding a way to put it to use is great to have items like that in the book. The Fairwind is in late summer. You were correct. It is in late summer. Can you tell me about the You Got It Bad?
Yeah, so that's one of Brian's drinks. And I remember, when I read the intro for it, I thought it was so funny. He's like talking about Usher, I think. But, it really just kind of hits the nail on the head. Like we were talking about in late summer in Philly, it is so, so hot. And, as soon as we used to walk to work from our last house, and, everybody shares this in Philly, you walk in through the door and like the first thing you do, you want to like run to the walk-in because you're just like so hot. But this one was the idea of like doubling down on that with something that was spicy and using chilies to really get you to sweat. And of course, it also has the watermelon, which makes it super quenching. And that's just like epitomizes that sort of late summer heat wave. Like, you're just a zombie going through your day. And like, this is the only thing that will revive you.
Yes. And we already talked a little bit about the skewered shiitakes with buttered corn sauce. but you've got the Szechuan popcorn in here featuring that fragrant spice that gives everyone a little numbing sensation on the tongue. What is a drink and snack pairing in this section that would go together well? You do great in this book, giving like some nice pairing options where people can put some things together, which I think is going to be so great for people when they're planning their parties and gatherings and all those items like that. But what's a food and a drink in this section that pairs together well?
Oh, actually, those two could be kind of fun, doubling down on the spice. You started making that popcorn like that was a signature. Rich loves making popcorn from scratch in our house. Like,
so do we.
Yeah, when we say from scratch, like in oil.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shit
or kind of.
Yeah.
There's a bag that you can put in your microwave. Come on. Nothing better than oil popcorn. Yeah.
Agreed. We actually just bought like a little popcorn. We had like a movie night thing for Halloween with some friends. We bought a small like popcorn. It looks like a movie theater popcorn thing because we love popcorn that much. We're obsessed.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Sorry we weren't there, by the way, but we weren't invited.
I thought it'd be a pricey plane ticket. I didn't want you to feel bad when you had to.
We'll be there in a second. Come on now.
I love it. Well, I'm just here looking into our next section here that gets us into fall. You have this mouth-watering jackalope cocktail featuring tequila, apple brandy, maple syrup, and a refreshing dry hard cider to take it home, capturing the essence of fall beyond the pumpkin of it all. What are a couple cocktails you're always eager to see return to the Vedge menu in the fall from this section?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh my goodness. Well, that was one that I think we served at Ground Provisions, and I snuck it into this book because the idea of using the cider was another one. It's like sometimes you have a cider that maybe it's sitting, right? You opened a cider, you didn't finish all of it, but hey, the next night you don't feel like drinking cider, you can weave it into a cocktail.
Nice.
I also envision packing that one up into a thermos and taking it on like a hayride, maybe a haunted hayride. I don't know. I just feel like that one to me was sort of like screams fall. And we have the best maple syrup too. We found a Pennsylvania maple syrup, Kyle Hilligus and his Sugar Camp. Oh my God, it's so good. So just like finding the perfect balance of flavors. I feel like that one is delicious. Oh geez. What about, there are certain ones that I like mark my calendar for, and I'm thinking about one that's jumping ahead a little bit to winter. So I'll hold off on that one. But I don't know if there were other ones that you.
No, that's all right. I'm just looking at this great list in here. There's one called Higher Frequency. What's that one about?
That one's fun. I think that one's one of Brian's, and he had this crazy story that I can't remember if it made it into the book, but it was basically about bats. Like that was another thing. He wrote about this in the intro to his section, and I thought this was great because he really thought about it, the importance of naming a drink. When you're doing food, you kind of just like say what it is. But when you're a bartender, you've got to give it a name, and it's not just like, this is the blah, blah, blah old fashioned. That doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more artistic. So this is an example of that. It's like sort of thinking about, I guess it was like the bats and their signaling. And
he says, able to detect sounds up to 10 times higher in pitch than humans, bats excel at using their sensitive hearing to navigate at night. So, and this has the mezcal in it, the apple fennel cordial.
Yeah.
My gosh. Lemon juice. It's got tequila. So cardamaro. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah. Beautiful amaro. Yeah. That adds a nice amount of bitter to the drink. But I think what he did so nicely was to sort of not just do like something that screams apple traditional.
Yeah.
It's like by mixing those flavors and creating your own little cordial there and adding your sweetness with that level of the fennel. It's unusual, but it works so beautifully. And again, like it's about getting the right texture in your drink. And one of the things we talked about early on is like you're using sugar to build the body of the drink, to balance flavors. But it really, when you say the body, it really shapes the texture. It makes the liquor component just much more smooth. And I think, again, it's not just a sugar syrup. We're building the levels of flavor and, capturing that like texture with additional concentrated flavor makes it really that much more special.
Yeah, for sure. What about this golden apple in here that looks stunning?
Yeah, that one was fun because being able to rely on like absinthe, like again, like a super potent ingredient. In this case, I recommend, in a couple of cases, I'm a big fan of like the atomizer and sort of spraying your glass and being able to leave just a little fine layer of something really strong like absinthe, as opposed to trying to do a 16th of an ounce or like a half a bar spoon. You know, you just get that fine sheen, and it's almost like a tiny flavor, but more of the aromatics as it sort of coats the inside of the glass. That one to me is like rolling around in autumn leaves. It's just like it's golden, you know?
Yeah. And again, photos so good. And I'm over here drooling over this rose chocolate fudge. It looks so yummy. And you're utilizing, what are you using
rosemary.
to get? Yeah.
And rose petals.
Yep.
And it's really hard. I kind of try to indicate this in the beginning, like making fudge is really hard. It's very, very temperamental.
Sure.
Not easy. You know, I think that if you're going to attempt that, just be ready that like the first couple times might be tricky, because sugar is one of those things that like you can temp it and time it all you want, but you really have to know, like you need to know your pot, and you need to know all of your kitchen space and utensils, and but once you do nail it, you're like, oh, great, you feel like a superhero.
And you're saying to read all the instructions through, Dustin, is what you're saying. I got it. Heard. Rich, a couple snacks in here. What's a favorite for you?
Let's see. Late autumn.
You got the eggplant in here, and you got the blistered snack peppers.
The snack peppers. That's what I thought was in there. So the snack peppers came about because we have grown like an insane amount of beautiful peppers in our farm this year. And, you know, we've had really great success with it. Padrones, shishitos, Jimmy Nardellos, which we sometimes pick before they turn red and are delicious or reminiscent of what us Philadelphians call long hot without the heat. Yeah, see, the look in your face says it all. No one knows what a long hot is.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's basically a very long green pepper, and they're hot as hell.
Okay,
and it's a Philly thing. We had no idea this is a Philly thing. But so what we would do is we picked all these amazing peppers. Oh, and what were the black ones? The black jalapenos we were growing.
They were like Bulgarian peppers.
They looked like a kind of a purplish black jalapeno. So we had so many of these, it was ridiculous. And you know, of course we do. You know, we pickle them, we make hot sauce and all that kind of stuff. But our favorite thing to do was, and this is the whole beauty of, we were trying to capture some of like our farm life into this book, because it's been so important to us. And it really has been, you know, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like informing much of the way we live our life right now. Because I had written in the Vedge intro that there's nothing more beautiful than taking produce into your kitchen right from your garden. And it's the most beautiful process in the world. And it's how I started my whole vegetarian journey. When I asked my dad how meat got to our plate, he's like, yeah, it's not really like the whole garden thing, son. So, you know, these peppers are the most wonderful, simple expression of that act. We pick them, searing hot pan over the stove, little bit of Nutri-Oil, and you just blister them. And then, you know, basically a little trick you can do, just turn the heat off, cover them so they just steam a little bit and collapse. Salt, pepper, little drizzle of olive oil. If you're feeling crazy, squeeze a lemon. And we would just eat these things with our cocktails. We take it back to the farm and we just eat these things. Oh my God, so good. So as simple as that recipe is, there's so much, there's a great, you know, kind of story behind it. And they're so satisfying. So don't let the simpleness of that whole presentation say, oh, they're just seared peppers. No, they're absolutely addictive and they're beautiful. So I love those. You said the eggplant, the peppers.
Well, the eggplants were nice.
And then you got the fudge. Those are your three in that section.
I also want to say about the peppers that, like, Rich pointed this out a while back with olives, that olives are one of those things that like vegetarians can eat off the bone, so to speak. But I will say, you know, with your pits, but I will say with the peppers too, same thing. It's like when you have, you know, sear them up with the stems on, and then you have this great like interactive kind of thing. And so it's a little finger food, but it's like so tasty, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those, the simple it is, more simple it is, the better it is, and it's a very hard sell, because it's, It's so stupidly simple, but it's so good. Yeah.
Well, keep it simple, listeners. Look at that. Our next section. Our next section is titled Holiday Season. So that's featuring the wonderful rutabaga fondue, celebrated. And that's it. We can move on. We're done here. No, and you've got a great pairing with this. The Great Persuader is paired with this. And there's so much great stuff in this section. I always think New Year's food and beverage is a strange one to tackle because you can kind of make it up. It's like anything. Of course, there's champagne, but you have this very thoughtful beverage in here for the new year called the Old Acquaintance. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that one is a boozy cocktail. And when we made the original version, one of my staff members at Ground Provisions actually brought me in a bag of hardy oranges from their front yard because they had one of these trees, which is native to the area. And we call it a hardy orange, but it's not actually a citrus. But it looks like a mini orange, kind of like a disgruntled mini orange. And if you touch them, they're really sappy. Like really sappy. I can't emphasize that enough. But anyway, I was like, I'm going to make an oleo sacrum with them. So, usually with an oleo, you like peel it and use the oils from the skins of your citrus to then create with sugar a syrup that has intense flavor. And I did this and it took me forever because these tight little oranges were peeling these very thin skin and my hands are sticking together. And like, why am I doing this? But I was in it to win it. And I proceeded through the whole freaking bag and I squeezed the little halves of them to get like a single half drop of juice out of each of them. And I think I had like this little pool of what would be the next day, like oleo sacrum. And I come home and like, Rich, my hands are stuck together. Like, what's going to help me here? It was really traumatic, as you can tell. I'm holding on to it.
A little bit.
But when I checked the next day and I like strained off those peels and I was left with this delicious like nectar. Mm-hmm. And fortunately that did not carry that same sort of sappiness, like just a teeny bit in your drink, it goes a long way. But I guess the idea was like, for the holidays, you put in extra effort. You go above and beyond. You want to do the things that celebrate the entire year. You want to see your friends and family. You want to live it up. You want to just indulge. And part of the indulgence is like doing the hard things to make it a special night, to make it a special gathering. So I feel like that one sort of speaks to that. And it's a variation on an old pal. And it was sort of like the old Lang Syne kind of like Robert. Anyway, it was there's a lot of back roads to get to the actual recipe, but it's just a delicious, very boozy sort of sit back and enjoy the holidays kind of drink.
I love it. So much great stuff in here for the holidays along with that.
There's something they don't want to do all that work with those.
If you don't have access to the oranges, because you won't find them in a store. If you live in our region, you'll find them in your neighbor's yard or your own. But yeah, any citrus might be easier than that.
Maybe like a orange lemon mixture.
Yeah, you can get such beautiful citrus in the wintertime. So I feel like a mandarin or clementine, whatever.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, most people don't realize citrus is a winter fruit. We always associate it with the tropics and margaritas in summertime. It's a winter fruit. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's great. There's so many great cocktails in here for the holidays. Everybody has to give this an extra look when they get it, because you're going to order it right now. What's one cocktail that they should make right away from the holiday section when they get it?
Bury the Hatchet.
Bury the Hatchet. What's in Bury the Hatchet?
That one is another boozy one. I love the garnish is on this one, the cranberries. And I love it because it encompasses to me, like, sometimes people don't get along with their family members for various reasons, right?
That's what I thought the name was about. Yeah.
They might only get together a little bit over the house. Make a batch of this one, and you can get the kids involved in the garnishes and stuff, and it just like will put you at ease. I think this is a good one. Yeah,
that's great.
It could also be like a subtle nod implying some sort of, hey, let's have a Bury the Hatchet, and then you don't even have to talk about whatever it is you have.
Perfect. Done. It's done. It's over. I love it. And what about food? As mentioned, rutabaga fondue, but such great bites in here like hickory pecan caramel corn and deviled kohlrabi and green olives. But same question for you. The person just gets this book. It's the holidays. What's the first thing they should make?
I mean, the fondue is the go-to. Our guests have been asking for years and years and years for this recipe. It's a restaurant recipe that you just don't give out because it's a restaurant job to make it. equipment, and it's just not something I would ever advise someone to do at home. So we did promise them if we ever did another cookbook, the rutabaga fondue would be in there. So this is a home-friendly version. This is, I think, very, very close to what we serve at Vedge in a pretty straightforward and easy way that you can do at home. I love it just because it's just such a great dip. You can serve it with, we like it with soft pretzels because we're Philly, and we have this great recipe, which is, by the way, in the V Street book, I believe, the Sichuan pretzels.
Yes, they are. I've made them from there. Yes, they are.
The Sichuan pretzels. Yeah. So you can do that without the Sichuan peppercorns and just do coarse salt. But, I see that you have bread with yours, any kind of bread or crackers. It's such a crowd pleaser. And it is cocktail food. My challenge with this book was to not create dishes that were going to be, it's not a cookbook. It's not going to be like these standalone things. Here's what you're serving for dinner that night. My challenge, I was a supporting actor in this book where I was creating things that were going to be done with all the beautiful cocktails that are in this book.
I feel like the kohlrabi is a great one.
The kohlrabi is a really good one. That's inspired by one of my favorite childhood dishes that when I started cooking when I was a wee little kid. I had a cookbook I brought home from elementary school, and I was like, Mom, check this out. Egg salad with green olives. And we made it all the time. It was just that something so mayonnaisey with green olives, and it was just one of my comfort foods as a kid that I grew up with. And years later, when I wanted to veganize it, I started doing it with tofu, and we would serve it with seaweed caviar for the if we had friends over for the holidays. Remember, we're fancy, man. We're very, very fancy people. We're sophisticated. So we would do like the devil kohlrabi, like his egg salad, or made it with tofu. And we put the vegan seaweed caviar on top, and then we drink our champagne and, rinse, repeat. It was great. So the devil kohlrabi kind of embodies those flavors. The kohlrabi, you got to cook it just right. It can't be crunchy, but it also can't be baby food. It can't be pureed. It's got to have just a little resistance to it. Pulse it up in the food processor, and it just embodies that whole egg salad-y kind of with a little bit of mustard and the green olives in there. Great delivery device for seaweed caviar.
Who's using kohlrabi? I think that's another thing. Like, the vegans among us, we're all paying attention. Like, what's that next great vegetable? Like, I feel like cauliflower steak has been in the spotlight for a while. We are huge lobbyists for rutabaga, but I think kohlrabi is another one that's like, it's so delicious.
It's so good, and you can do more with kohlrabi. The flavor is great. You can puree it into a soup. It's so easy because it makes its own stock, which is just beautiful. But you can also sear it. Do anything you would do with like a potato or celery root or a turnip with it. Wonderful, wonderful vegetable. It's got so much flavor. So that's a great recipe. Yeah, highly recommend it.
I love it. And now we're moving into winter. We're going to close things out here. So when we're looking at the winter section, let's talk about food and beverage at the same time. What's a food and beverage you would pair together from here?
There's a couple good ones. And the funny thing was we approached the winter, like the winter changes, because when you first start out in the wintertime, you were like overwhelmed from the holidays and you just want calm and peace. And then as the winter evolves, you start getting antsy and you start like thinking about, well, maybe I can go away on a vacation and beat the cold. And then you start thinking about the spring that's coming. So, I mean, every season kind of has that unique personality, but winter's a hard one. And you're also like searching for things. There's 2 kumquat recipes in there. So if you're in the wintertime and you get like a bunch of kumquats, you can do the Cum Monday cocktail, delicious rum on the sweet side, so good. And then if you don't use them all, you can do the kumquat tart, the kumquat bars. Nice. They are delicious. You could serve those together. Those are great. Oh, I wanted to say the really iconic one from the Vedge menu that it's like so happy to see it on is the headbanger. That has a really striking image in the book too. They sort of, Ted really captured it. But it does use carrot juice, and it also uses tahini, sesame, and it is so, so good. And, you'll be able to recreate this exactly at home. We like brush a little maple on the side, and then we roll it in black and white sesame seeds. So it's a really iconic drink that we've had on the menu for a long time. And it was just like, perfect to see it come together in the book.
Oh, that's great. So let's say the holidays are over, you're in the winter of it all, and you decide to head to Vedge. Can you each pick a cocktail from the winter section that would have you living your Don't Stop the Carnival fantasy? Instead of martini, please, I ask you both to fill in the blank. Fill in the blank with the drink, please. What would it be?
That would probably be the Come Monday for me.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it all ties it together really nicely because Rich had me read that book because he loved the Caribbean so much. And he had also brought me to a Jimmy Buffett concert because he had always been a big Jimmy Buffett fan. And one of his songs is called Come Monday. And it's about like, you know, when he's finished on tour and he comes back home and come Monday, I'll be holding you tight. So it's like the idea of coming home and that sort of peacefulness. So I feel like for me that I wrote in the intro, it just kind of the post-holiday insanity, you know, coming back and just like resting, relaxing. I feel like, oh, but see, you're asking a different question. Well, I see what you're asking.
Yeah, what would give you that vibe? The vibe, you know, you're asking
the one
for
of
that.
Finding the drink that. Well, that's like the gin. That's Ginny's freezer martini.
Ginny's freezer martini. Yeah. That's
all right.
Yeah, so that's a great one. You can batch it. You can just like keep it cold. That's an excellent one. That really like ultra sophisticated. It'll make you very particular about your selection of alcohols and how the proportions and how to serve it. Really cold. Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
I love it. Good. And is that your choice as well, Rich? Or
it is.
Okay, all right. Just made it easy. I was like, is that as well? I thought because you mentioned it, so then I thought maybe it would be. Well, what's your book brag? Something from this? What are you most proud of when it comes to this book?
Our collaborators, our team at Vedge. I got to give a shout out to Amanda Quinn, our pastry chef. Kate's right hand, who they have the most remarkable relationship where it's kind of like what I have with Elle. You just get stuff on the plate and it's inspired and it's easy and you speak the same culinary language. So big shout out to Amanda and Elle working with both those.
We might do
Ginevra and Brian. Oh, there you go. Yeah. All of our free time.
Hey, there, yes, all the free time you'll have.
Ted,
Ted
and the team was just great. Yeah. The experiment is wonderful, and
the art director Beth, she did such an amazing job. One of the things we wanted to do was to capture the physical space of Vedge because it is such an iconic building, the Tiger Building. It's historic and it has such character, and we've been in it for 13 years now. So I think that Beth really just kind of took the textures and the wallpaper, the stained glass windows, a lot of the materials from Vedge, and sort of wove that into this overall look and feel that captured our vision for it. So
and I will say my one message I would like to have out there about this book is that, you know, Kate and I know not everyone drinks alcohol, and I know mocktails are huge these days, and non-alcoholic beers these days are fantastic. I drink them myself when I'm gardening. Kate and I do drink, not as much as we used to, but we enjoy drinking, and I think it's so important. It's such an important part of the dining experience. I've always loved to see a bottle of wine on the table with people having their dinner. I love most of all having the cocktail at the bar before dinner. Kate and I try to make a point of that if we're away, if we're traveling, or even if we're just home and we have a night to ourselves. Don't just like chug a beer or like, oh, I'll pour some wine. Make it an event, make it special. Go to the bar before dinner, sit down, have a cocktail, and like dress up just a little bit, really enjoy life, toast to all the good things in life. That first toast of the day is so important with your glasses, whether there's alcohol in them or not. Make it special. The drink at the end of the day before dinner is sacred, just like they say in Don't Stop the Carnival. And I want more people to really kind of pay attention to that. Our food and our beverage program is incredible at the restaurants we've done. We're super, super proud of it. It's a very important part of the dining experience. So for me, this book gets out there, this, incredible aspect of what we've been doing with these amazing people. Yeah. And it's an important message, I think, out there. Just the whole cocktail thing with the food and having that moment at the end of the day.
I love it. That's great.
Or for some people early in the day. I don't know. Maybe you're a night shift worker. Maybe it's breakfast. Who knows?
There you go. You never know. Or, it's different time, different places. Well, that takes us
somewhere.
Exactly. This takes us into your rapid fire. Are you ready for that?
Sure.
Here we go. Shaken or stirred?
Stirred.
Shaken.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Waffles.
Texting or calling?
What's that?
Texting or calling?
Text.
Oh, texting. I don't talk to anyone anymore.
And when they do call you, you're like, what are you doing? What? How dare?
Yeah, right. What, is something wrong?
We didn't schedule this call. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Hot sauce or barbecue sauce?
Hot sauce.
Favorite day of the week?
Ooh. I don't know.
They're all so different all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Saturday. I like Saturday because when I was a kid, I would get up, and when you're going to school, and Saturday was just like the day that you're out there and out in the yard and playing. And Saturday night for us now is, the restaurant's big night when everyone's out and celebrating and everything. It's a big festive night,
Yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah, that's good. Books or movies?
Movies. I can't read without falling asleep anymore. That's the problem.
I understand that same problem. Yeah. Kate, your face was like, I don't know, maybe so. Book or movie? I don't know, whatever.
If
cocktails.
It's rapid fire,
she says cocktails. What's
book.
that?
A book.
Okay, all right. Citrus or berry?
Citrus.
I'm like, citrus. What is next?
You were like, what? Hiking or biking?
Sorry?
Hiking or biking?
Hiking.
Oh, biking. I think you said hunting. I'm like, really?
Oh, no.
Serious?
Hunting.
No. On the rocks or straight up?
Rocks.
It depends on the drink. Yeah, rocks. Yeah.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Oh my God. How do you pick? Sunrise. I don't know.
Camping or glamping?
Camping.
Neither. Glamping. Candy, yes.
And your last one is happy hour or nightcap?
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
There you go. Rich and Kate, please tell everyone where they can find you on social media and the internet.
Social media is Vedge Restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
No, is it Vedge Restaurant or Vedge Philadelphia?
Vedge Philadelphia, I think.
That's okay. We'll put it in the show notes. Everybody can click on it. David and I will.
Ground Provisions as well. And then our website, vedgerestaurant.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, everyone, go right now.
You can buy the book wherever books are sold.
Yes, that's where I'm at. You can get this book.
If you want a signed copy, come to Vedge.
Ooh, yes.
A little rutabaga fondue on the page.
Yes, get your signed copy of Vedge with a side of rutabaga fondue. The Vedge Bar book, plant-based cocktails and light bites are for inspired entertaining. You can get it everywhere books are sold. And I'm telling you, everyone, you've got to get one for you and get one for your friends who vibe on elevated cocktails and small bites, because they will thank you every season of the year for this outstanding book. It's always a pleasure to see you both. Congratulations on another fabulous book, and thank you for making the time to be here today. I appreciate you both.
Thanks, Dustin.
It was great.
It was great talking to you as always.
Thank you so much for listening. We'd be so grateful if you would rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really does help us.
Yes, thank you so much. And don't forget to check out keeponcookin.com for all of the latest in recipes and Keep On Cookin' updates. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.